Welcome to today's session. Today's session, there could be, you could call it, you could give it a lot of names, but I call it the psychological freedom. Some people call it the hero's journey, but I literally call it the psychological freedom. But what is this psychological freedom? How does it happen? And what are the advantages? How does it affect your life? Okay. Many people, when you see them, right? One thing that most people struggle with it is, oh, what is the person next to me is going to think? Okay. Or it could be your better half, it could be your parents, it could be your siblings, it could be your friends, it could be your society, your community, whatever it is. They take decisions based on what are they going to think about, their expectations, their approvals, and 500,000 other things that people think about when they are taking decisions. Now, I'd like to ask, maybe I can see Muzzy right at the top. Maybe you can help me with this. So when you're about to take a major decision, okay, especially when you started your business, when you take a major decision, do you think, oh, what is my mom going to think about? What is my wife going to think about? What are my siblings going to think about? What is my community going to think about? Or my friends or whatever? What is the thought process? Can you share that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, for me in personal experience, that was the case at the start. I did worry about what everyone else would think because a sense of approval is something that I really needed. But now, not so much. I
Okay.
kind of have faith in myself.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me ask this question. Let me ask another question. And this applies to everyone, including me. Okay. How much of your decisions, what percentage of your decisions are dependent on that I want to make my parents proud? Goes back to you, Mazi.
Yeah. To be fair, I always want to make my parents proud. It's like always. So every decision is, even if they actually disagree with what I'm doing at the time, they just don't realize that it will make them proud later on.
So would you say, is that 100%?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. So let me give you a bad news, Mazi. Okay. You are 100% prisoner of your parents. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can indeed, yeah.
Okay. And I'll tell you why. Okay. So let me take this back a little bit. Okay. I want to take this slightly back and I'll come back to this question. Okay. If you were to make a movie of your life, and I'm speaking with you, Mazi, because it's a bit more easier. Okay. If you were to make a movie of your life, who would be the hero?
Me.
Okay. That's pretty obvious, right? When you look at a picture in a group, who is the first person you look for? Yourself, right? You are the hero of your life journey or your life story. Everyone else is a side character, right? It could be your parents, it could be your better half, it could be your kids, it could be your siblings, it could be your friends, your community, your society, the SPE and family. Pretty much everyone plays a side character in your movie of your life. Okay. Now, if you start taking decisions based on the side character's expectations and approvals, do you think you're playing the hero of your story or a side character of your story? Mazi, I'm asking you.
Yeah, that would be a side character. That's if the decision is based on them actually being proud. But what I was saying was, in everything that I do, I want them to be proud.
No, that's see,
Uh,
you gotta remember the way human nature is. We grow up because we get love from our parents. At least most people do. Um, we tend to grow up with this psychological framework of trying to make our parents proud. That's an inherited thing. Okay, it's like it's in our DNA. Okay, but the problem is with that is that we tend to take wrong decisions, and I'll tell you how. Okay, I'm actually going to give you examples on my own life. Okay, so you will see that when you start to live life based on other people's expectations, even if it's your family members, especially your family members, their expectations and for their approvals, or trying to make them proud or trying to help them out, we actually take wrong decisions in most cases. And I'll tell you how. Okay, because the decisions that you take, because they're expecting from you, you want to make them proud or you want their approval, that makes you a side character in your own movie. It doesn't make you the main character. If, let's say, Spider-Man made decisions based on, oh, what is my mama going to think? I'm not going to go and help people. That movie would never be made. Okay? Does that make sense? I'm actually going to give you examples on my own life. Okay? In my 20s, because I wanted to make my dad proud, okay, and I still do. I mean, he's no more with us, but I still want to make him proud. But now I understand the hero's journey. But before, because I wanted to make him proud, and I was in a difficult situation in my own life, all I did was I worked very, very long hours. Okay? Because I wanted to make sure that he's happy, that I'm making money, I'm progressing in life. I was working really, really hard. What happened with that is I burnt myself out. Okay? Or for that matter, I would go and do sometimes even things that may not be necessarily legal. Okay? Because I wanted to make sure, I wasn't worried what he's going to think about if I'm doing something legal or illegal. I thought I can make more money and that would make him happy. Can you see the discrepancy in the decision making? Yeah. Okay. This is my early 20s. Okay. So don't worry, guys. I've not done anything illegal of really bad nature, but it was just very minor stuff. Okay. I used to sell fake DVDs. I don't mind sharing with everyone. It doesn't happen anymore. This was early 20s. Okay. But and I've paid for that. I've paid fines and I've paid all sorts of things. That's all done and dusted. But why am I sharing this with you is because I lived in this psychological framework where I wanted to look after my family, and that made me work way more harder and do the things that I shouldn't have done in the first place, and instead focused on myself, which would have helped me progress many times over. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So if you are playing the side character in your own movie by thinking of expectations, and I'm going to share with you what are the biggest disadvantages of doing that. Okay, because I've just shared with you one. Okay, one of the biggest advantages, in fact not one, just many are correlated. Okay, if let's say you don't put yourself out there. Okay, like, oh, if I put myself out there and I talk on live videos and I do these speaking gigs and I tell people my story, what is my mom going to think about? You know, how's she going to react to this? Okay, or how is my brother going to react to this when I start to share my life story and he's a part of that? What if he's a part of that? What if he's done something that I need to share with people, but then you're scared that what is he going to think about? Okay, or you know, for example, okay, raise your hand if I make sense so far, because I want everyone to understand this. This is actually called the hero's journey. So if you watch any movie, okay, and this applies to our own lives as well, okay, we have the protagonist and the antagonist in a movie, and the antagonist doesn't have to be a person. It can be your psychological hindrance. Okay, so for example, for me it was, I came to this country, I wanted to make money, but my challenge was that I didn't have the stay papers in the country. Okay, or for that matter, I was not personally developed enough to be able to make large sums of money. Personal development. Or I was not professionally developed. That means I didn't have enough professional skills to be able to make large sums of money. That was my challenge. So you could look at me as a protagonist and these challenges as the antagonist in the movie, right? And then I had to overcome those challenges by working really, really hard on myself. Does that make sense? Okay. And the biggest antagonist in anyone's life, this I can tell you with a lot of experience, is your psychological hindrances or psychological blocks that you have. Okay, so if you're waiting for that moment that you will do something big, that is a psychological hindrance. There's no ever big day that you're going to come across. You have to do it today. Or for that matter, there's psychological hindrances, your expectations of you. It's almost like you are thinking what are other people expecting from you. Those expectations are your antagonist in your movie. Okay, or if you are looking for someone's approval, sometimes we look for approval of our kids, we look for approval from our other partner, of our better halves, right? That approval in most cases becomes a major antagonist of your movie. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you are waiting, oh, you know what, I will do a deal when I find the right deal. There is no right deal. You have to make the deal right. That is your antagonist in your psychological framework. Does that make sense? Okay. You have to overcome every single one of these challenges, and there could be a million of them in your mind. You have to overcome every single one of them. And the stronger the antagonist, that means the bigger challenges you have in your life, the stronger your character will become. Raise your hand if you like watching a movie where the villain or the negative character is really, really strong, and you don't see the hero ever winning that game. You love watching those movies. Raise your hand. Well, guess what? If you are in the middle of challenges, that's the movie you are in. You are in that movie. And the stronger the antagonist, the stronger the villain, the stronger your character will become in your movie of your life. Okay, so if you are in a major challenge and you think, well, you know what, I've not seen anyone facing challenges like the way I am facing, that is your blessing in disguise, because those challenges are making you the strong character that you will become, that will allow you to be known for it. To be known for it. You know, you look at Mahatma Gandhi, right? You look at Mother Teresa, right? If you haven't read the biography of Mother Teresa, I mean, read about it. The antagonist in her life was that she wanted to feel like being one with God. Now, can you even imagine that's an antagonist? It was for her. She lived a very, very difficult life just because she wanted to feel one with God, and she couldn't. And she couldn't. So she kept serving people so she could feel like that. But think of it, that the more God kept, it's almost like you can say, the more she had this struggle of being one with God, the more stronger her character became, and see how she's well known all over the world. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense, guys. Okay.
Yes, it makes sense, Jack. Sorry.
Yeah. So the stronger your challenge is, the more well known you will be. Either you like it or you don't, more likely you will you will be well known in the world. Okay, the stronger your challenges, but only if you face those challenges, okay, head on, the stronger your character will become, and that is your blessing literally in disguise. So if you have a difficult parent or a difficult sibling or a difficult better half or difficult kids or any of the 500,000 things that you will come and give me an excuse of ever, I will always come back to you and say, that is there to make you a strong character, and it's a blessing in disguise. If you tell me that you don't know how to get this deal done, that is your blessing in front of you to get the deal done and be that strong character. Okay? Or for that matter, if you come to me with any excuse ever, I will tell you exactly the same thing, right? That is your psychological hindrance. That is your your antagonist in the movie. And that when you overcome that challenge, that will make you the hero of your story. And then potentially maybe there'll be a day when you'll be sitting with a ghostwriter and writing that story of your life on how you overcame those challenges. Okay? I'm actually going to start asking questions because this is very important to understand in a lot more depth, because it is very contextual based. Okay, so what applied in my life may be different from your life. Okay, I mean, I know that my father, for example, was always in business, so he was expecting me, in my head, not that he was expecting, in my head I was thinking that he's expecting from me to be a better businessman, be able to run a good business. Okay, but guess what? When I look back now, I think the only thing he wanted from me was, it's now. I didn't realize that in my 20s, but when I look back now, I think all he wanted from me was to be happy. To be happy. Okay? But I didn't think like that. I thought he wanted me to be make more money, be more wealthy, so on and so forth, right? Mazi, do you have any questions?
Not at the moment. That actually makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so the next time when you look at a property deal or a business deal, or if there is a person you want to approach, so let's say, I was asked this question in the group sometime by someone: how the hell do you approach these guys who are very, very well known? I have no boundary here. There are no psychological, it's almost like I'm not in any prison of anything. Okay, I look at a person, I say, is this person worth me bringing for an interview? I message them. It doesn't really bother me who it is. Just because someone is more famous than you are does not make you less. Does that make sense? Okay, so when I'm messaging someone, I can give you names of people that I've messaged, and it will blow your mind. I have messaged the richest man in India for an interview. Okay, I have messaged Sadhguru in front of you guys. This guy has refused to come on an interview. Okay, I have messaged every person that you can imagine, like literally you name it, and I've messaged that person. Okay, raise your hand if you know Robin Sharma. I have messaged.
Yes, Jack.
I've messaged him. Okay, he charges a lot of money to speak. Okay, I have messaged Richard Branson. I have messaged every person that you can imagine for either an interview or to speak at our event. Okay, I have messaged what's his name, the guy who founded lastminute.com. In fact, he has listed another company a couple of days ago, made.com. What's his name? I keep forgetting the name. He okay, when I remember the name, I'll share with you. But I've messaged him to speak at our event, and he actually messaged me back saying, I don't like speaking at Zoom events, so virtual events. He said, when you do a physical event, I will come down. Okay, so raise your hand if you know lastminute.com, right? Or you know made.com. Made.com was listed just last week, and that's the founder I'm talking about. I've messaged him. Okay, in fact, that's the guy I've messaged to shadow. So I've messaged him that I want to come and shadow you. Okay, why am I able to do this? Why am I sharing? Why am I able to do this? Is because I have no blocks in my thinking that I can be where these guys are. Does that make sense? Okay, So I can.
And you also messaged me, Jack.
Oh, I messaged you. Of course I did. Of course I did. You're the first person I did. I think everyone knows that. Okay, so why am I sharing? There is no blocks here. I do not think that these guys are better than me or anyone is below or above me. It's all your psychological hindrances. When you look at your performance in your business or your life, in most cases, there is some sort of psychological block. And that normally comes from this expectations and what is my mom going to think about, what is my dad going to think about, and 500,000 other things that are connected to that framework of the hero's journey that actually stops people from reaching their full potential in the first place. But once you understand that those challenges or those blocks are actually there to create a stronger character of you, then you can break those barriers and be the person that you are meant to be in this world in the first place. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm actually going to go through everyone so I could ask questions. I just want everyone to get it's all, like I said, it's contextual. So I want everyone to tell me a little bit about their context so I could help them. Okay. Geeta, would you like to, or maybe Harry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell me, how does this apply to your journey? Share a little bit, because it's contextual, right?
Pardon?
Because it's context based. Share a little bit about how does this apply to your journey?
I mean, with talking to famous people, I don't think I really get bothered by it.
Okay.
I think it's because I'm young as well. Hasn't kicked in like. I don't really get bothered with it. Barriers, obviously, mum, as in when I'm doing my decision making. That's improved a bit more, but I think for me, it's the once you've done it once, you back yourself. But the very start, it's that decision-making process that can take a while to overcome.
So let's say if you were today buying a hotel or a large piece of property, let's say you're taking on a rent-to-rent hotel, and you're worried that you might lose money or you might, whatever that might be. Do you think, what is my mom going to think about, or how's she going to react?
Yeah.
Remember, that is that can be your psychological block.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you next time not to think like that in the first place.
Okay.
Don't take decisions based on what is she going to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the more you consider that, the more likely you're to make wrong decisions.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just remove that from the psych. It's almost like the thinking pattern. You remove that.
Yeah. Change it up.
All you got to look at that deal and say, does this deal make sense? Numbers.
Yeah.
If it does, you take it on. There's no emotional thinking about what is my family going to think about. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Sejal?
Yes, Jack, sorry.
So when you are taking any decision, do you consider, how is this going to affect my family, my or what are they going to think? Are they going to do you think like that?
I used to. I've stopped now. Now it's about me.
Okay. That's how it's going to remain. Okay.
Yes.
People can dip back into that form. Okay. Sometimes people come out. Someone's got noise behind them. Could you mute yourself, please? So sometimes people come out of that and go back into that form again. Don't fall into that trap of thinking, what is it that they are going to think or how they're going to react. Don't fall back into that trap. Okay. It's very important to get this, because like I said, if you start to apply this in your life, what will happen is that you look back and think, okay, I'm looking at a deal and there is no there's no emotional blockage. There's no psychological block. It's all about numbers. You're looking at a deal from the point of, it's like the logical point rather than the psychological or the emotional point, okay, or emotional perspective, okay. Anyone has any questions? Rajesh, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing, Jack. But it's not really. I'm not too. I wouldn't say bothered about my parents' approval. I think they're more worried about my health than what I do as a vocation. But I think for me, it's when I've just recently set up this, and we've discussed this at length. I won't go into it. It's getting that first client. I think that I'm more concerned about as a validation to see if my thing if it works. And that I spent so much time and energy worrying about whether I can attract the right client.
Yeah.
So then I can then use that to say, okay, and that has been the biggest stumbling block for me. So similar sort of thing.
I'll help you with that. A lot of people struggle with this. I'll go very quickly, literally 30 seconds. Your first customer always has to be a non-paying customer, okay? In fact, the first few customers need to be non-paying, okay? They don't pay you, but what you do is once you've provided service and you've proved that it is a good service, that you take testimonials and then you pitch it to someone who's prepared to look at the testimonials and say, this is worthwhile paying for. Does that make sense? Pretty simple.
Yeah. Yes, I've actually got someone that I'm coaching at the moment. So once I finish coaching, hopefully I can get a testimonial from. Thank you, Jack.
Exactly. It's pretty simple. Don't make that bit complicated. Okay. Good stuff. Suraj, do you have any questions?
No, Jack. Thank you.
Okay. Let me share with you one more thing, which a lot of people do is they don't actually speak. They don't do live videos. They don't do a lot of content generation because they have this mindset of, oh, what is my family going to think? What is my community going to think? What is my, people around me are going to think? Are they going to think I'm boasting? I'm overdoing it? And they actually don't do speaking gigs, which can allow them to attract a lot more business. Okay, it's actually a psychological hindrance for a lot of people. Please don't be in that trap. Okay, it's very, very important to get this and actually start to apply in your life. Because if you sit in this corner and you don't do anything and you don't put yourself out there, you are actually not going to attract enough people into your business. Imagine the amount of content that we generate on YouTube and Facebook and 500,000 other channels, and that's how we got here. It's not going to be an easy journey. But if you are thinking, oh, what is my family going to think about, my kids, or so on and so forth, this is going to make your journey 10 times more difficult. Okay, you got to always look at the logical perspective on how this is going to help my business and myself, and you kind of go from there rather than thinking, okay, what is so and so person going to think, or what are they expecting from me? In fact, this is actually a major one for especially men, and and you will see that men come under a lot of stress thinking that they have to look after their family. Now that is true, that they in somehow, I don't believe in that men are more responsible than women, but somehow, because it's been a more man-based society that we've lived in, that thing is still there, which means that men feel more responsible for the house, and that eventually leads to a lot of health problems. Okay, so when you see men at 60 dying of heart attacks, it's because they've lived with this mindset of, what, I got to look after my family, I'm more responsible for them than the women in the family, and so on and so forth. That leads to health problems. Okay, so raise your hand if you know what I mean by that. Yeah, either you realize or you don't. If you feel that you are the one responsible, either a man or a woman, and that you're fully responsible for your family, which I'm not saying you aren't, but then that leads to health problems, because then you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, Jack, I
You
understand exactly what he's saying. Exactly.
you don't need to take pressure. All you got to do is you wake up and you put your effort. There's a difference between this psychological expectation and having that feel. It's almost like feeling that stress or feeling the burden, and there's a difference between waking up and saying, I am going to do my best. These are two completely different things. I used to stress over this even about 5 years ago. Okay, that I am responsible for, so on and so forth and everything in my family. Now I wake up and the thinking pattern isn't that I am responsible. It's more like I need to put my effort in, so I need to do my best, and that helps with what they call the heart condition, or most men face that, women face less of. I'm not saying they don't, but they face less of. Okay, so you actually kind of live a more healthier life at the back of that. But like I said, the biggest hindrance is that people don't put themselves out there because they think, what is the society going to think? What are people going to think? What is my friends, family going to think? And they're going to start expecting from me, and so on and so forth. And they actually take bad decisions. Okay, as soon as you connect emotions to a logical decision, you are likely to, I said not necessarily all the time, but likely to take wrong decisions or bad decisions. Okay, everyone clear on this?
Yes, Jack.
Okay, do you want to ask any questions based on what, like I said, people call it the hero's journey. It's almost like the stronger the challenges in your life, the more you are able to build a stronger character. In fact, I can give you the example on me. When you look at me, and if you find me a stronger character to any extent, it's only because of the challenges that I've faced in my life. Okay, and not everyone comes out to be strong. Some people actually become weaker. But the reason you all are here is because you need to become stronger. You've actually chosen to be a stronger person. And the bigger your challenge is, the more stronger you are blessed by life to become. The question is, are you going to take up those challenges and say, I am going to make this happen in my life. I'm going to make X amount of money. I'm going to look after my family. I'm going to look after my health, and 500,000 other reasons that you might have behind the scene. Okay.
Jack,
Yes.
can I add something in terms of emotional, psychological blockers?
Please go ahead. Yes.
It's very interesting. It's a very interesting subject, and it's deep rooted to our upbringing, as well as what we go through in life and the trauma behind it. For me, right, this is my personal experience. Okay, I used to think that because of my accident, right, my leg is weak and I couldn't do a lot of things. And my coach really put me in my place. When I told her that I want to do long walks, I want to do a lot of things, right? But because of my accident, I can't really take those chances. And she said, no, you're just, you're BSing me, basically. She said that you're just making excuses. You're using your accident as an excuse to not to do things and not to move forward with your life. And then I started walking, and now I do 20,000 steps and I'm fine. And actually the injured leg is stronger than the other leg. So I think we do put those blockers in our head, and it's always there, and you don't even realize it when you're making decision, and you just do it. When it comes to pleasing people, I think it doesn't matter who that person is, even my parents, my family, as long as I'm not going out and doing really bad things or killing somebody, I don't think my decision making has to, involve all of those, thinking about, oh, what are they going to think? The thing is, if you keep thinking that, you end up resenting them, because you may end up making wrong decisions, and then you build that really horrible resentment inside. You don't even realize that it's there.
It is.
So you have to be very careful when you're making those decisions, because And then if things go wrong, you might, you know, deep inside end up actually blaming them because you don't want to take responsibility for your own actions. So I think it's a very deep thinking needed, and it's a journey to overcome that.
Yeah.
I picked up on what Harry said, just a quick one. Yeah, Harry said he's young. He's young. Harry, you're young, but you're capable of doing a lot of things. You should not let that is your emotional and psychological blocker when you say, I'm young and I can't go and talk to these people or that people or do this. I think you can do whatever you want, Harry. Come on.
Perfect. Thank you, Kalpana.
Thank you, Kalpana, for that. Every time you find an excuse, my health is not good, I'm young, I'm old, I'm black, I'm white, I don't have enough money, I don't have the charisma, the charisma this person has, I don't have the communication skills, I don't have this, I don't have. If you find yourself saying, I don't have, and because of that, that is your antagonist in your life, guys. So when you say, I can't do this because I'm brown or I'm black or I don't have enough money or I don't have anything, it doesn't really matter. I'm young, I'm old, I'm short, I'm tall. It doesn't really matter. I am ill. My health does not allow me. Any excuse that you make, and then you say, because of that, I am not able to. I can show you 500,000 other people who've done it in very similar conditions as you are. Okay, I can show you immigrants who've become billionaires. I can show you people who have who are really ill. In fact, if you look at the Paralympians, right, they don't have limbs or they don't have arms or legs, and they still become Olympic champions. Can you see how capable a human race can be when someone doesn't have a leg and they become in fact, let me share with you a story, a very quick one. Okay, I actually knew this. I know where you have to go. I will share with you a very quick story. Okay, I knew this person. He was actually one of our clients back in the days, and I once went. We were supposed to send a driver to him. There was no one there, so I went to pick him up. I picked him up from a school. This guy doesn't have legs, both the legs, no legs, and his even arms are not normal. There was some issue with the arms as well. So I picked him up, and I was just curious because this guy was a regular client. He was booked in all the time for taxis. So I asked him, I said, so do you teach at the school? Are you a teacher? He goes, no, I am the founder and the principal of the school. So, okay, that's great. I said, how did you manage to do this? And he said that when I was getting my education, there was no schools for disabled people. So I decided to actually apply for grants from the government, and they gave grants. So we eventually ended up a school for disabled, especially severely disabled. And then I am the founder and the principal of the school. Now, anyone here thinks they have a reason that there's something that they cannot achieve. It doesn't get worse than not having not having legs and arms. Okay, you cannot have a reason any worse than that, not that I can think of. Okay, so every time you find yourself saying, I can't do this, because that is your antagonist, your psychological block that you need to get rid of and then play full on. Okay, and also thank you, Kalpana, for mentioning that. There's actually a terminology for, it's called good opinion of other people, which is GEOP, goop. Okay, so many people are stuck in this goop, okay, where all they keep thinking about is good opinion of other people. You cannot live full on life with full experiences and build a strong business if you keep thinking, oh, what is it that other people are thinking about you? You actually cannot reach peak performance in the first place. You cannot build a strong business. You cannot achieve what you are meant to achieve in the first place. Okay. Anyone has any questions? That is today's session. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.